Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 4, titled Indifference. This episode was really good. It had a great, twist ending as far as I was concerned, but the whole episode overall had a lot of emotional attachment in it. Even though it's, titled Indifference, it has a lot to do with the emotions of certain characters who either, have a lot of emotion towards this one thing or a lack thereof towards the same thing. And the main focus in this episode, is obviously two split stories. The main one is pretty much the aftermath of Rick finding out what Carol did. And, in last week's episode, he finds out at the end of the episode, she answers his question, says, yes, I killed them. She walks off and it's nothing. And then in this episode, we see, Rick's sort of thought process after learning the truth. He goes, past where Karen and David were. He, just walking around, he's imagining how it might have looked, how she would have done it. And he's just thinking about all this stuff that, just went down, who Carol is and who Carol used to be. And in this episode, I swear, I was just like, man, she's like Terminator or something. She's just, cold and calculating. And she just does, I have to do this, I have to do that. That's what happens. And so she goes through this episode, and when they go, they're losing food and stuff, they go off for their run. When they run into the two people, they go through the questions, which I thought was pretty cool. They're talking to the guy and the girl, Anna, and I can't remember the guy's name. But, they're talking to them, and then, they start with the three questions, and then, of course, they cut away to the other story. But I thought that was a nice, cool thing. We actually got to see the questions, or at least the start of the questions, since we already knew what they were. But we got to see that in action. And so we get the scene, Carol helps out the guy, because she's like, your shoulder's dislocated. She helps him out. And they're like, all right, you passed the test. Rick tells him everything, like, hey, you can come back with this if you want. There's a virus, this and that. And then they're like, he says, just wait here. We're going to search around. We'll be back. And then, Carol's just like, or you could help us. You could come with us. And the face, and this happens a lot in this episode. I'm sure everyone caught it. But Rick constantly makes a bunch of different faces where he's just like, what is she talking about? Like, how can you say, come with us when this girl obviously has, like, a wounded leg, or, it was broken, or, she was, like, trampled over and it didn't heal correctly. So she's, crippled at least a little bit. And then this other guy had a shoulder that was just put back into place like a couple of minutes ago. How can you say just come on? And then even further than that, she's like, hey, we can all just split up and, cover more ground. So, Rick being sort of the farmer Rick instead of, Sheriff Rick now, he kind of just went with it. He was like, they were kind of pushing like, hey, we want to help out. Let's, as most people generally do, like you're giving them a place to go. They want to help no matter what. And that's what they decide. So, they're pushing it, and Carol's like, we'll cover more ground. It doesn't really matter. If we need to do this, we can do it faster. And so Rick is just, he kind of just goes along with it. He's not really making any of the decisions like he used to. So he's like, okay, we'll split up. Just, he gives them guns. You shoot once, we'll come. And that's all you need. Just be here in like 2 hours, and then he gives the guy the watch. And I feel like that guy will come back because the watch is so important. I feel like it could kind of tie in, in future episodes just because it was a big deal. But, I think it would be pretty interesting to see how that plays out, if he does come back or if not. But, wherever he is, he's just gone. And he might be alive, might not be. But the girl, she definitely died. And, they found her body, or they found her leg. And then, they opened the fence and all the zombies are eating her. And Carol's just like, we should get back because he's probably waiting for us. And it was just dead, just cold. That's just how she became compared to, who she used to be. And she seems so nice and stuff when she's with other people trying to help them out. But, in her head, she's like, all right, you're acting like this, but I really need you to act more like me and just be calm and calculating. And at the same time, while she is, really cold in this episode, we see her connect more to the girl, or both the girls really, but we only really get to see her talk to the older one. And, she's talking to her and she's like, hey, me, you, and your sister, we're gonna make it out of here. And you just see that connection. Like she's just for some reason, after having to, basically kill their father, Carol connected with them, and it could be, the two of them together kind of just replace Sophie or Sophia, and it just I don't know. She got that random connection it seemed, and with her being so cold, it's so weird to see her just kind of glob onto these two girls and be so attached to them. And when Anna mentions, like, hey, did any of your kids get sick? She says no, but then she kind of just goes straight to but I have two girls. So it was interesting to see that connection, but she kind of just gives that up at the end of the episode when Rick decides, you gotta go because, I'm gonna tell everyone because that I feel like I have to tell people. I can't just let you be this person. You can't be Terminator Carol. You have to be a part of the group and not just murder people because, you want to protect the group. It's still like while it's murder, it's just different. It's based on opinion, of course, and Rick's opinion of it was you made this decision to kill everyone, or well, to kill these two people, and you just did it because you thought it might help when it obviously didn't. Although if it did, I mean, who knows? Maybe his opinion would be completely different. But since it didn't actually make a difference, and she just ended up murdering two people, he cast her out, and he's like, hey, and she probably would have been killed if she went back anyway, because if he told everyone, or if he does end up telling everyone, Tyrese would obviously just destroy her, because as Rick said, he was like punching me and stuff. I didn't even do anything. I was just like, calm down, and he punching me in the face. But he's like, hey, I gotta tell everyone, and he said, I'm not making this decision for everyone else. I'm making it for myself. And it was really interesting to hear him say that because, we have a different Rick this season. He's different than he used to be because of all the crap that went down last season, just losing people left and right because of his decisions. He's just different now. He's like, I barely, we just got him really into, actually carrying his gun around and stuff. So he has to like ease back into being the leader if he's even going to be the leader if he actually chooses to come back. But for now he's like, I'm going to make this big decision because this is too big for me to just skip over. And that's why he says, I'm making this decision for myself. And he kind of is protecting Carol, because mostly with Tyrese, because Tyrese and then a ton of other people would still be so mad at her. But at the same time, a lot of people are still going to be mad at Rick for getting rid of her, just because he just decided to. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out, in upcoming episodes. And I'm sure Carol's going to come back just because it's Carol. And honestly, I think if you didn't die, you're coming back in the show. I mean, like, I don't think you just, like, no one gets written off. So unless you get killed off, Carol's coming back. So I'm excited to see when that'll happen, but it probably won't be for quite some time. It might not even be, this season, but it'll be interesting to see how that does end up playing out. And then we have the other story with Daryl, Michonne, Tyrese, and then the doctor whose name I can't remember. But they go to the school, and it kind of shifts, for that story. It starts off about Tyrese. He's still really angry, and when they're by the water, he's just standing there wringing out his clothes, and the doctor's telling him like it helps to keep moving. And he's like, no, it doesn't help because we lost the car. We lost like 7-8 hours. They could all be dead right now. So, once again, what does it matter? Just like when he was just sitting in the car last time. And that was before they even lost the car, although they were obviously in the process. Now it's the aftermath of that. And he's just like, he's going on again. What's the point? I can just sit in this little stream and just wring out my clothes for no reason. Well, there's blood on it, but, he kind of moves on from that. And then when they get to the convenience store, he just holds on to that one zombie just because he's just so angry. It's like, you guys are the reason all this crap is happening to us. And he almost gets himself killed because he just wouldn't let go of that one zombie. But, everyone helps him out. And then when he has to talk with Michonne, it's pretty cool to see, her kind of accept the fact that she lost the governor, that she can't find him right now. And she mentions how, I used to be angry, but I'm not anymore. And then, as soon as Tyrese actually brings up the fact that she still goes out for him, it kind of just, hits her, and she just, it just clicked on in her head, like, I don't know, like, I'm really not angry anymore. And she says, if he was right here, I'd split him in half because that's the way it has to be. But, she's not angry, and she does tell Daryl, I'm done looking for him because I'm not angry. And once again, their trail was actually cold, so no point in just running off and trying to find this guy when he could literally be anywhere. So it was cool to see her kind of accept that fact. So we do get to know, Michonne will be in the series. We won't see her kind of heading out and coming back and stuff. We skip past that point. We just have Michonne back now. And then one of the greatest scenes in this episode is, the doctor. And the first part was pretty good, where he's talking about how he used to be an alcoholic, or how he is an alcoholic, and how he felt responsible for, getting Nick killed, which is amazing. I still remember his name, but I can't even remember the doctor's name who's alive. But, he feels responsible for getting him killed because he's an alcoholic, and he's an alcoholic because, the groups that he was with before, he was always the last one who survived. He watched people die left and right. And after, the second time, he became an alcoholic because it was just the only way he could just, like, survive was just to drink until he could pass out. So, the line he says was like, when you guys found me, I considered, just walking away to just keep on going by myself because I didn't want to have to deal with this all over again. And, Daryl's like on his side at first, and he's like, that's crap, you're with us, we're a team, you didn't cause him to die, we took you along with us, we chose the place to go in the first place, so it's not your fault that, you drinking or you wanting to have a drink caused that to happen. We brought you along, we chose the place, it's on us, if it's on anybody really. So, he kind of warms up to him, and he's like, hey, you're a part of the team now, a part of the family. And then we get the end of the episode when they're being chased by the zombies, and he, jumps out the window. I knew he was gonna trip. I thought he was gonna like actually fall over, but just somehow survive. But he just falls over, and the zombies are grabbing at the bag, and he won't let it go. And initially, I think like everyone, I'm sure there were some people who thought it was the alcohol, and I think I missed that part. Like I saw the books, I'm pretty sure, but I completely missed the fact that there was alcohol in that scene. But I thought it was just drugs. He had like all the drugs and stuff. And he was like he was so so emotional about losing everyone that he was like, I'm not gonna just drop this bag to these zombies. I'm gonna fight and have these pills and stuff so I can help save somebody. And then we find out it's just the alcohol. And Daryl like gets up in his face, and he kind of just looks down him. And Daryl's like, you should have kept walking. And he says, if you take a sip of this without giving, these people medicine, I will beat you down. But, that was a great scene in it because it was not what I was expecting at all. But I love that scene, and it'll be really interesting to see how things play out now that, mostly with Daryl, because I feel like Michonne will kind of, I feel like she will actually be indifferent about it. She'll be mad, but she'll be like, it's done now, too bad. And then Tyrese actually does kind of, tell Daryl, just let it go, it's done now. And it kind of shows that Tyrese has, at least somewhat accepted the fact that things just are going to be the way they are, and you just have to, keep moving to try to make them better. So we got that, and then the best part about it was, before Daryl actually walked up on him, and he was about to throw the alcohol, and the guy was gonna pull his gun on him, and I was thinking like, man, if he did that to me, he'd probably be dead. But he was the doctor, so at the same time, you do have to think about all that stuff. But he's so much of an alcoholic, which I guess it's just as being an alcoholic, it's an addiction to alcohol. He was gonna shoot him for just throwing this random bottle that he just found. But that was an amazing scene to me. It was definitely that was actually my favorite part of the episode, even though the ending was a great surprise. That was definitely my favorite part because it was very tense and it was just like you know that's something we didn't have in this show is someone who is like detached from the group simply because of an addiction that he has to alcohol. So I really love that. Love Carol basically being like banished to wherever, but it'll be cool to see her come back because I'm sure she will, and I'm excited for next week. But we still haven't gotten anything as far as whoever is messing with the camp because obviously each story was based off of everyone being away from the camp. But based on the preview with them, everyone basically coming back to the prison at the same time, I'm curious to see if we're gonna get couple more details about who is messing with the prison and feeding the rats and stuff. But love this episode. Thought a lot of interesting character development. Um, the development for Carol kind of got cut short. I feel because she was kind of cast out. But at the same time, like I said, if you aren't killed off in this show, I feel like you have to come back at some point. So excited for her to come back. Excited to see kind of how everyone deals with the news that Carol's gone, and how they deal with the fact that the doctor is such an alcoholic that he almost pulled a gun on Daryl because I'm sure they're gonna mention that. Although at the same time, Daryl seems like the kind of guy who would just deal with it himself, and Michonne and Tyrese kind of seem like the same, like they'd be in the same sort of realm of character where they just let it go, and it would be just those four that know about it, and so they know if he does this or does that, if one of those three is on the mission that he's on, they'd be keeping an eye out for him because he was that crazy about drinking alcohol. So it'll be cool to see how that plays out. But love the episode. Comment below, let me know what you thought. Favorite parts, least favorite parts, of course. Would you have banished Carol? How do you think the group's gonna react to that? Because once again, it's probably gonna be half and half. The girls, I'm sure, will hate it, but I'm really curious to see how that plays out with them too, because the older girl talks about how she's not weak and stuff like that. So I want to see how the girls interact because I feel like they're gonna end up being recurring characters in this series. Now they're gonna stay on until they just randomly die off. But you know, love the episode. Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.